We are solving May June 2025 paper 2-3. This is an interesting paper with a couple of difficult questions, and we'll only be looking at the pseudocode parts. You guys can do the rest. Alright, the first one here is that what function can we use to evaluate this into the alphabet D? For that, we'll have to use the insert document. And if you want to convert any number into a character, you have to use the ASC, which is the ASCII function, which will, sorry, it should be the other one, CHR function, which will take an integer parameter and it will convert it into the ASCII, CHR. Then there is a date here, we have to extract 2 out of it. So it's very obviously going to be the month function, which will be getting out this date, then month, then year. So we'll get 2 for a month. So then the next thing we have to get is false from true, and we just flip the value of true to make it false. And then lastly, we have couple of values here. Okay, so here we have the code 1.4 upper, and we have to convert this into 1.4, which means we have to get this 1.4 out somehow. So how do we do that? In order to get some part of a string out, we use the function of substring. So 1.4, okay, so substring in our A level is given as the mid function, and mid function is the only function which has 3 parameters in the insert document, so you can quickly see. So we have the source, the starting value, and the number of characters that we need. We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 3 characters. So the position is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this is going to be the 6th character. Starting from the 6th character, we need 1.4. 1.4 has 3 characters, so it becomes this. Now the value that will get out would be a string value, as written in the insert document, that it will return you a string. So, and in this case, there are no quotation marks here, which means this would be an integer value. So in order to convert this, we need to use string to num. We will make it string to num like this, and this is done. Then the next part is about data types. Very simple. We have to tell how many members. This should be an integer. Whole number count. Then total amount of money. This must be real because money can be in fractional part. Then we have booking confirmed. To tell whether booking is confirmed or not, should be boolean, true or false, yes or no. And then we have member DOB, which will obviously be the data type. So for full marks, very simple question. Okay, then moving on, we have a question related to stacks. A programmer uses a number of ADT in the program that she is developing. A stack using memory locations 400 to 409 is used in a program. The variable top of the stack indicates the last value added to the stack. Okay, so there are always 2 variants in this. Either the pointer will be to next available space, or it will be to the last value stored. What does this mean? So this is the last value stored, which is P. This is one variant, or in the other variant of this stack, we could also place the top of stack to the next available space where we'll place the next value. But in this question, they are asking us to do this. So whenever this is the case, since top of stack pointer is already pointing to the last value, first we'll increment the top by 1, and then we'll save the value in order to implement the push function. Now they're saying the memory location of the value that has been on the stack for the longest time, and that will be the value that we added first most. And the value that we added first most is B. And they're saying the memory location. Okay, so this is a very common mistake that students would just rush to write B, but the answer would be 400 because that is the memory address. Then the number of consecutive push operations that will result in the top of stack variable containing 409. Okay, when do we get 409? So how many stack operations do we need? We had 403, so we'll add a value. Then it becomes 4 1 2. Then we have 3, and then we have, they're saying 409, 4 5 6. When we add 6 more values, then the top of the stack will be pointing here. So that is why the answer will be 6. Okay, then in the next part they're saying you have to do these sequence of operations, and then you have to complete the diagram. Okay, very simple. This is the initial position of the stack, so let's do it here. Push T. So when we'll push T, so T would go there and the top will be pointing here. Then they're saying pop. So what will pop do? Pop will remove the value of T and top will be pointing here. Then they're saying pop. Pop means that you will basically point the top of stack to 406 now. Then they're saying push Z. Push Z. That means first you have to increment the top of stack and then you're going to push the value of Z. So here we get the top of stack back here. Then they're saying pop. Pop means again you're going to move the top of stack to C now. And then they're saying push Y. So push Y means that we are again going to increment the value stack by 1. I think we did one mistake here, so push T would have been one value above. Yep, rest is fine. Okay, so if we write the solution for this, we have these values same from D till F. Say, so they did not change. 405 is F, then we have K, then B, S, R, and D, like this. And then after 405, we have 6, we have C, then we have Z, and then we have Y. So we have C, 408 is Y, then we have Z, and then we have C. Okay, and then all the values must be in quotation marks. I didn't place them, but they all should be in quotation marks. This is a very simple question. Okay, now next question they're asking that we have different program. The programmer decides to implement a linked list using an array of records. Okay, so an array of records. The array is represented in the diagram. A pointer of -1 is indicating the end of the linked list. Complete the pointer field to produce a linked list that is in alphabetical order. Okay, so we just have to go in alphabetical order, so A, B, C, D, etc. So let's count A, B, C, D, E. So alphabetically, Earth will be the first one. Then E, F, G, H, I, J, K, N, Neptune second. Then we have, okay, also we need to keep one thing in mind, that we are using a linked list, right? So when we start from here, we are pointing our 1, this is the index 1, right? So this index 1 is then going to get us to Jupiter here. So we have to be careful. So let's redo this. I just realized we have made a mistake. Alright, so Earth will be, we start from Earth. This will be the start pointer. And then from Earth we'll go to Jupiter, E, F, G, H, I, J. And then from J, the next alphabetical value would be Mercury. So we go to Mercury, index 4, H, I, J, K, L, M, and then N, which is at index 0. So we go to index 0. Then after N, we have S, I believe. So after N, Neptune, okay, we have Saturn, yes, we go to 2. And then after Saturn, we go to 5. And at 5, we'll go to -1 because this is the end of length. Okay. Then they're saying the variable start pointer contains the index of the first item. State the value of start pointer. Since the start pointer is pointing to Earth, Earth is stored at index 3. So we'll make it 3. Then they're saying a third program is also being created to manage a queue. Describe 2 features of a queue. So you can write anything here about the pointers, about how it's made, about the structure. So you can say Q is a FIFO structure. And what is FIFO? It is first in, first out. And the second feature you can add is that we create modules NQ to add a value in Q and DQ to remove a value like this. And we get 2 complete marks. Okay, then in question number 3, they're saying the programmer has created a module called roll dice, and then roll dice is used to simulate multiple rolls of dice okay, then we are supposed to take a positive integer as a parameter representing the number of dice that will be rolled, then simulate one roll of dice by generating a random number between 1 and 6, output the integer generated, and repeat this for step 2 number of times. Okay, what does this mean? So if I say that the count is set to 3, then I'll roll dice thrice. So maybe it could be 4, it could be 6, and then it could be 1. Then maybe next time count is 5, so I'll roll the die 5 times. This is what we have to do. Okay, this is question number 3. So let's write the code here. This is very simple. First of all, they're saying you have to create the pseudocode and you have to calculate the average value of all the random values generated and then calculate the average value. So basically we'll just calculate the average of these 3, which would be 11 divided by 3. Okay. Function roll dice. Okay, then we have to pass in a parameter of the count. So we can call it count integer, and then it will also return an integer. So it returns an integer, and then end function should be returns. Okay, we'll leave the space for declaration. Then we move on. First of all, we have the sum because we need to find the average, and then we are supposed to simulate this many number of dice rolls. So we'll have a loop for I 1 to count, depending on what the count is, maybe 3, maybe 5. We will generate a random number every time. So we'll say dice is equal to rand. Okay, now how does rand work in our syllabus? Rand will generate a value from 0 till x minus 1. So not including the last number. Okay. If I just write 6, it will generate values from 0 to 6, which is wrong. If I make 0 to 5, if I make it 7, it will generate values from 0 to 6. But 0 to 6 is incorrect. We have to go all the way till 1. So what we can do is we can just add the starting range here, and this is a general expression. So the general expression is whenever we have to calculate a random value, we write the difference of the range here plus 1, and we add the start value in here. The reason we add plus 1 here is because we want to cater to the last number as well. Otherwise, the last number will not be included as per the function. The difference is 6 minus 1 is 5. Then 5 plus 1 would be 6. So we'll have 6 here, and then we'll add 1 here. Now what will this do? So rand will always generate a value between 0 to 5. When it generates 0, 0 plus 1 is equal to 1. When it generates 5, 5 plus 1 is equal to 6. And then any value in between can be generated. And this must be an integer because this will generate a real value. So we have the dice roll here. We'll output the value of the dice roll. And then they're saying that we also need to find the average. So we'll just sum these values. Sum is equal to sum plus dice. And then once the loop ends, I can just go ahead and I can print the value and then return it. Average is equal to sum divided by the count of dice rolls, and then I will return the average. Now I need to do declaration. So for declaration, we have declare sum, I, and dice. These are all integer values, and then declare average as real. This I is the loop variable. This must always be declared as well. Okay, very simple question. 7 free marks. Then in question number 4, they're saying that there's a program that we're developing to control stock program for a shop owner to produce sale reports. A text file sales.txt stores strings representing the number of items sold. The year contains 52 lines and each represents the number of items sold in the week for the year. Okay, like this. Week 1 we have this many sales, week 2 we have this many sales, and all the way till 52. The example shows 502 items were sold in week 2. Okay, the owner requires a module to output all week numbers where the number of items sold is greater than 500. Describe an algorithm. Do not include pseudocode statements in your answer. Okay, whenever this is the case, we just have to literally write the pseudocode but in English language. This is question number 4. Let's try this. Question number 4. Usually students face a lot of issues in these questions, but what you have to do is you just have to use the pseudocode terms but in English. So first of all, what you have to do is we have to open the file, we have to loop through the file, we have to, these values are written in string format. So this string format, has to be converted into an integer, right? And then when we check if it is greater than 500 and we increment the week number and we keep on repeating this. That's all. So what we'll do is we'll say that you have to open sales.txt file in read mode and close at the end, or we can just write it later, but we'll just only get 1 mark for opening and closing, and close once all operations done. Okay, 1 mark. Then they're saying that you have to read each time, read loop through the file until end of file. Okay, and we can call this could be step 1, step 2. That makes it easy to just tell that you have to loop after this. Loop through the file and until the end of file. Okay, now in step 3 what we'll do is we are going to read a line from the file and convert the value into integer, right? Because all of the values are string. Then we have to compare if it is greater than 500, and then we have to output the week number and the count as well. So step 4, if sales greater than 500, then output sales value and increment. Did we have to increment? Where the number of items are this. Okay, so we don't really need a counter here. If the sales are greater than 500, then output sales. And then in the last point, we will just say that in step 5, repeat again from step 2 until condition is met. So we will get 6 marks for this. 1 point, 1 point, then this would be 2 points. 1 for conversion to integer, 1 from reading a line in this rate. This is a very simple question. Again, a lot of times students just write pseudocode here, which will get you no reward at all. So make sure that it is done in English language. Describe the walkthrough method. I'll skip this. Okay, now the next part is saying, again, this is a very interesting question, that we have to implement a module parity. In this question we have to write a module parity which will take a string as a parameter. The string parameter is bit string, which will represent a binary value with zeros and ones. The module will concatenate a single character to the end of the string bit string by applying one of the two rules: 0 if the number of bit string has even ones, and 1 if all the number of ones in bit string are odd. That is the question. Very simple. What we'll do, so we'll count number of ones: 1, 2, 3, and 4. Since there are 4, which is even, we'll add 0 at the end, and there the number of ones are 3, which is odd, so we'll add 1 at the end. That is it. We have to write the model for this and assume the bit string can only contain the character zeros and ones, so we do not need to validate. This is an 8-mark question and it is actually very easy. Let's write it. They are asking us to return the string, I believe, the end of the string by applying one of the two rules. We can just make it a function. They've not specified. Function parity. It will take the parameter, I think it's called bit string, yes, bit string, as a string that will return a string, and then we have end function here. Okay, I'll leave space for declaration first most. Then in the next part we have to count the number of ones in the string. In order to do that, we have the insert document, and in the insert document we know that we can just use the mid function to get one value at a time. So this 2 will be replaced by a loop variable which will constantly be changing from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and since we only need one number, so I'll make this 1. That is how we get one character at a time. So for I 1 to the length of bit string, let's assume the bit string right now for this example is 1 0 1 0 0 0 1 1 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 like this. Okay, so we have 8 characters here. Now this loop will run 8 times. Let's get one character out each time. To get one character out each time, we have to use mid. We have to pass in the bit string, then the starting character, and then we have to write so the starting character would be, the position would be I, and we'll get one character at a time. So when it will be 1 1, it will give us this first one. When this will be 2 1, it will give us this 0. When it will be 3 1, it will give us the third character. So on and so forth. Like this. This will get us one character at a time. We have one character at a time here. Now we're going to check if this character is equal to 1. If it is equal to 1, we will increment the count. Let's set the 1 count to 0 here, and we'll check if the character is equal to 1, which is a string 1. Then if that is the case, I'm going to increment my 1 count by 1 because I've got 1 here. This one, then second one, count will become 2, 3 and 4. Once the count is done and once the for loop is over, now I will check how many ones I had, even or odd. For that we use the modulus. So if the 1 count mod 2 is equal to 0, then which means that the value is even. That means if the value is even, I will concatenate a 0 at the end. I'll just say return bit string joined by a 0. What is this %? This is the operator given to us in the insert document as well. This one. This will join two strings with each other. %0. Else that is not the case, we will return bit string %1. You can do it in another variable, or you can just do it directly in the return statement. That's it. This is the whole question. You get free 8 marks for this. Now we have to do declaration. So declare I as an integer, and other than I we have the 1 count, then we have the, what else? Okay, we have the character here, so declare character as a char because we are getting one character at a time. If this had been more than one, then this would have become a string. Okay, everything else is done. We can get rid of this. It's complete. So another question is done, 5. Then we are doing 6. I'll skip 6. We'll only do the pseudocode part of it. Sub part 1a. Okay, what is happening in sub part 1a? They're asking for the pseudocode header. So we have sub part 1a, which is taking one parameter, which is r. It's not returning anything because there is no outgoing arrow. This would be procedure sub part 1a, and this will have r. The type of r is integer, so r would be an integer, and this is being passed as by val because there is no double side arrow, so no by reference. Then we have subpart 2a, subpart 3a. Okay, I'll just copy this. Okay, what do we have in subpart 2a? In subpart 2a, we have an outgoing field value, which is Boolean, and we have an incoming t, which is a parameter. So this will be a function now, which is going to, it returns a Boolean value, and then the value of t is real. So the value of t is real, like this. And then in subpart 3, what do we have? We have subpart 3, we have two parameters here, and u is double-sided, which is a biref parameter. So procedure, this would be subpart 2a, part 3a. Okay, so we have v, and v is integer, w is Boolean. I'll just write the short forms here. Integer, w is Boolean, and then u is by ref. So by ref u, and the data type of u is string. That is it. This will get us full marks. Skipping this. Okay. Now we have a couple of more pseudocode questions. Question number 7 says that we have to implement a customer loyalty scheme for a coffee shop. Last visit date, and we have unique 60-digit string here. Integer value that will depend on how often the customer visits the shop, and the last visit date is the last time the customer visited the shop. In this module, we have update visited here. We have two parameters here, loyalty, which is integer, and then last visit, which is date. And then we're going to change the loyalty points to increase by 4 if the last visit date and the current date are in the same month. Okay, in order to get the current date, what do? We have to use this function called today from the insert document, which will return you today's date. And then if they do not match, we will increase the loyalty points by 1. And we also have to extract the month out. Change the last visit date to the current date. So we just have to update the variable value. And then the change values must be available to the code that follows the call to the update visit. Okay, whenever that is the case, whenever you want to update the value throughout the program, we have to use the byref keyword, which will pass the address of the variable, not the value. So it will update throughout the program. This is question number 7 now. Here we go. Procedure is called update visit. It will have two parameters, loyalty points integer, and then the last date visit. So they have to be both byref. Last visit, which will be date, and then byref, let's call it LT points, loyalty points, which would be integer. And then we do end procedure. Okay, we'll leave the space for declaration. We'll do it at the end. What we have to do here now is we have to get the today's date, and we have to get the month out from today's date and the month from the user's last visit date. So let's do this. Let's call it today month, or let's call it current month, which will get by using the today's function, which will return you the today's date, that is 2/4/2026. To get the month out, we'll just use the month function, and it will get us 4 out, which is April. Then the last visit date will have some, let's get last month, which will be month on the last visit date. This is the last visit date that we have. It will have some value. Let's assume the last visit was done in month 1, January. Okay, we get this. Then the question says that you have to increase the value of loyalty points by 4 if the last visit and the current are in the same month. So if both of the months match, if the current month is equal to the last month, then what we're going to do is we are going to increment the loyalty points, which is LT points in our case. So LT points is equal to LT points plus 4, right? Okay, else if that is not the case, otherwise increase by 1. So very simple, LT points is equal to LT points plus 1, and then we do end. And then in the last part they said that change the last visit date to the current date. That means that the last visit date should be assigned the today's date, which is we can get by using the today function, again given in the insert document, that returns today's date of the day. That's it. Again, this is question number 7, part A1. Then they're saying the programmer decides to amend the update visit module so that the loyalty points are further increased if the customer visits the coffee shop the same day of the week as their last visit. Okay, how do we do this now? So for this, we have to use the day index. What does day index tell us? It returns the day index number of the state. So let's say if today is 02/04/2026, when I pass it into the day index, since today is Thursday, it will give me, so Monday is 2, Tuesday is 3, Wednesday is 4, so Thursday would be returned as 5. And this is what we have to check now. They're saying that you have to, if the customer visits the coffee shop the same day of the week, so we can get the same day by using the day index here. The answer would be that if the day index of the last visit is equal to the day index of the today's date. So if both of the day match, right? If the integer values match it, if integer value matches, then that is the same day. So they will get some extra points for that. Okay, then we have the next part, which says a text file which is called loyalty.txt. We are going to go through that, and the function procedure we're going to write is Monday check. Okay, let's visualize. A text file loyalty.txt will be used to store the data items for the loyalty scheme. The text file contains only one line of data for each customer, and this is the data. All of the values are separated by a comma. Okay. Last visit date is always 8 characters in length in this format, DDMMYY. An example of how the line of data will be stored in loyalty.txt. So we'll just create a loyalty.txt file here for our convenience, loyalty.txt. Okay, it will have these values here. I'll just copy these for visualization. This would be one value. First one is going to be customer ID, and then we have 132. Okay, so they've also written it here as well. The example shows customer ID of 100,123. They have 132 points. So this ID, 132 points, and then their last visit. If the customer visits the coffee shop on a Monday, the value of their loyalty point is increased by 10. How do we get Monday? We have to use day index, and for Monday, the day index value would be 2. Okay. Let's have a couple of more values. So 100, 124, maybe their points are 150, and then they visited on 01/04/2026. And then we had 100, 128, maybe 60 points, and they visited on 01, maybe 05/02/2025, like this. And we'll have these values here. Now this separator is comma, which will tell us anytime we encounter a comma, that means we have successfully read one value. Okay, now what is the question asking for us to do? So in the Monday check, they're saying it is called find customer is already written. That is something we've already done. Called with the parameter of type string that represents the customer ID, calls find customer. Okay, this is a helper function now. Helper function must be used to get full credit. Okay, even if you were not able to do it correctly in the first part, that is completely fine. Let's say if this was the helper function that we were using below, that is not an issue. Okay, call the find customer, then extract the loyalty points from the string returned by the find customer. Okay, what is find customer doing? It will take a customer ID as a parameter, and it will return the line of data that is read from the text file, and then it contains the data items for that customer. Okay, basically they have made our life easy by telling us that if you pass in any customer ID to find customer, it will automatically return you this complete line like this. So you don't have to do anything else. So let's go ahead and start with this, and then we can do the further parts. This is part 7b, question 7b. All right, so we have a function here that is called Monday check. We have the customer ID as a string parameter, and we're going to return an integer. And then we have the end function here, first space for declaration. Okay, now they're saying you have to call the find customer on the customer ID, and you have to extract the loyalty points from. Okay, so find customer will return the line of data. Let's call it data line maybe. Data line is equal to find customer on this customer ID. Now again, let's imagine that the customer ID we pass here is 100 124. So this will go into customer ID. It will automatically iterate through the file. It will find this customer ID. You found it here, and it will return you the whole line. And basically this function call will be replaced by this whole line like this. So we'll get a string back. Okay, once this is done, then they're saying that you have to extract the loyalty points from the string returned by find customer. Okay, now the loyalty points are after the second comma, and the loyalty points are supposed to have a fixed format because the customer ID is a unique 6-digit string. Okay, since it's a fixed 6-digit string, it does not have variable string. That means where would loyalty points be stored? We know they will be stored at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then at the 8th position will always have the starting point of the loyalty points. Now do the loyalty points also have a fixed position? An integer value that depends how often the customer visits? No, there is no limit to the loyalty points. So you cannot extract 2 characters or 3 characters or 4 characters or 5 characters, etc. But what we can do here instead, the easy way is, let's count how many characters do we have otherwise. So the date is also fixed. The date will have 8 characters, 8 plus 6 characters of the customer ID, which makes it 14. And then if we count the 2 commas, comma before the loyalty point plus 1, and then comma after the loyalty point plus 1, that makes total of 16 characters. So if we subtract the length of loyalty points from 16, then this will give us the total length of loyalty points. Let's check. So we have 16 here, and then the length of the loyalty points is, sorry, the length of the line we have here. Yes, so the length of the line in this case we have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. We don't need this, this should be 16. Length of the data line basically minus 16. Okay, so here we have these 6 plus 8, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So we have a total of 19 characters in the line. 19 minus 16 will always be the length of the customer ID, the 2 commas, and the date, and then we get 3. And yes, we have 3 characters in the loyalty points, right? This gets us the length of the loyalty points. Now we can easily use it to do the further processing. Once we have this, they are then asking you that you have to increase the loyalty points for the current customer by 10 if the day visited is Monday. Now, like we discussed, the day visited Monday would mean that the day index of this date is set to 2. We should add the note here that for Monday, day index of the date will be set to 2. And then we have to return an integer representing the loyalty points. Okay. We have the date line here. Now we need to get the loyalty points. So LT points is equal to mid. Okay, so how did we do this? We came up with the logic that the total length will find it mid data line. This should be data line, not data line. Then we have the starting position, which we know is always going to be 8 because the first customer ID, this first position of customer ID is always going to be 6 characters followed by s comma 7, and then 8th character is the loyalty ID. So starting from 8, how many characters do we need? That we figured out by using this function where we calculate the length of the total string and then we subtract 16, which is the number of fixed items, and we get the length of the loyalty points, which is, so we'll write length of data line minus 16. You can do it here or you can do it separately. Let's do it separately. Let's call it length of points, like this. And then this will give you, here you can write the length of points and you'll get the required number of points, 2 digit, 3 digit, 4 digit, etc. Now the points are always going to be integer, so we need to convert this into integer. So let's create another variable. Let's call it lt points integer maybe, and then we'll convert it into string to num lt points, right? Otherwise it would be in a string like this, which is wrong. It should not be a string. And now in the next part, they're saying now you have to check if the loyalty points should be incremented if the day visited is a Monday. Okay, now this day visited Monday is basically we have to check if today is Monday and then they made a visit today, right? We are specifically checking if today is Monday and then we have to give them the points for that, not for some last visit. So once this is done, that is what we're going to do if the day index of today's date. Again, today is, let's say we have Thursday, so Thursday is not equal to Monday. So we'll check if it is equal to 2, then we check if day is Monday, today is Monday, then we are going to give them points. So then I'll say lt points integer is equal to lt points integer plus 10, and then we do end if, and then we do return lt points integer like this. This is the complete solution. Again, what did we do? We got the data out against the customer from the file like this. Then we extracted the length of the points by taking the whole length of the line, subtracting the fixed length of the items. Then we extracted the points, we converted them to integer. Then we checked if today is a day that is Monday. Then if that was the case and the customer had visited us, then we were supposed to give them 10 extra points and then we're going to return those points. Now declarations. So data line will be a string, then length points will be integer, and lt points will also be a string. Then we have lt points integer, which will be an integer, lt points integer, and that's it. Now, moving on to the very last part of this question, they are saying that a date is stored in the last date visit in this format dd dd is 2 digit, is 2 digit, and y is 4 digit. Okay, then we have, for example, the date is stored as this date 0309-2024 without the separators. Algorithm is need to convert the string stored in last date string, which is this one stored in ddmmyy format like this, to data type date, which is then stored in the variable last visit date. Assume that it has been declared and contains the valid data. You have these variables. Okay, now how do we create a date? That is very important. This is only data type that has to use some sort of a function to create this. So you have to use the set date and you have to pass in these three parameters. So now if you're given a date, you are supposed to extract the data out. Going by the example given in the question, let's say the date given to us is 0309-2024. 0309-2024. Now you need to first get the day. So we'll use left of the, let's call it, what did they use? Last visit date string. Last visit date string. I'm not going to write the whole thing. Just write last visit date string. Okay. Last visit date string. And if I get the left two characters, I'll get the day out. Right. Now, if I need to get the year will be in, by the way, day, year, and these are the functions. We should call them something else. Let's call it day integer or day val maybe, or year val. Okay, to get the year out, we need the last four characters from the right side. So for that, I'll use right. Then it will be the LVDS string, last visit date, and I need to get four characters out. So last four here, then first two here. And the only thing left is the month. Month is in between month val. For that, you have to use mid on the string that we have. Okay, where is the month starting from? Month will always start from the third character. First two are for the day. So third and fourth character. So starting from the third character, we need two characters like this. Once this is done, we have all the three values that we need to create the date available to us. Now they have actually used the variables day int, day val. So I'll have to convert this. It shouldn't be day int, should be the ones given in the question. And then the variable is last visit date. And here you cannot just write simply day int slash year int. That is wrong. You have to use the insert function given in the insert function. So we have the set date function that will be used. So we have set date, then we have the day integer, then we have the year integer, and then we have the month integer. And now it will successfully create whatever date we have. Okay, now one thing to notice here is that the question says that day, month, and year should always be of integer data type. And the data types that we're getting here are obviously string because we are using string functions. So we need to convert them to strings, which would mean, sorry, we convert them to numbers. So string to num like this. So I'll copy this. We have to do it for all of them. We need to convert them all into numbers. Otherwise the set date function will not work and we will end up losing one mark. And then that is it. This is the complete way.